This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, good evening, everybody. I'm going to call the Public Works meeting of August 7th, 2023 to order at 5:02 p.m. This is Ken Poisson, 6th District Councilman and Chairman of the Public Works Committee. I'll take a motion to approve the minutes from June.
Motion to approve the minutes from June.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Chair votes aye. Motion carries unanimously. Item 3 is a report of the Public Works Director. Renee has emailed that to us ahead of time as always. Does anybody have any questions for Renee?
Through you, Ken.
Caitlin, go right ahead.
Thank you. Renee, do we have an update regarding the permit process for the algae? Sorry, I'm a little under the weather, for the algae remediation for all the waterways? Motel.
Nothing new, other than what we've emailed just in the last couple days or last week. Nothing more recent.
So this time when the town went out to apply for the permit, is it taking longer because it was Motil plus Brewster plus Longbrook versus in the past, excuse me, where it's been Brewster to Longbrook? I'm just trying to understand because I've gotten nonstop messages from people because now it's like a blue-green algae film that's covered all of Brewster and part of the lower pond is just like that green slime algae.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know what the process was the last time and how we got it. I don't know. I don't have the paperwork in front of me of how they filed the last time, if they filed all 3. I know we treated all 3 the last time. I don't know if the rules changed up at the state this time, but yes, they filed all 3 together, and that seems to be the issue and working to rectify it. And it's not, I don't believe it's us that files the permit. It's the person who's doing the treatment files the permit. So they've been trying to get it passed through the state because they're not making any money if they're not treating the pond. So they're motivated to do it. We're motivated to do it. It's at the state level that we're locked up. It's definitely not because the town isn't pushing hard or the vendor isn't pushing hard, because we are.
I've just been back and forth the last couple of months, so it's a little frustrating when I can't tell people what the timeline is, right, of when the actual work is going to be done. Is it the group or organization that the town decided to go with this time that's possibly being a hindrance for us? Because I know we're not isolated here in Longbrook Park. It's the other waterways as well, correct?
Yeah, we don't have a permit for anything. And like I said, the vendor's not making any money. Their motivation is to get these permits done because they treat the waterways, they get paid. So right now, I mean, this is, I don't want to sound stereotypical. This is typical of state. Rules change, goalposts move. We file something the same way over and over, then all of a sudden it's changed. We're running into that with all the school projects as well. It seems like it's getting caught up in some more red tape. All of a sudden there's this new threshold we got to meet that we've never heard of before. And you miss when they meet only certain times and you miss that deadline. Now you're pushed out another month. It's frustrating for us because we want to get it off our plate. We don't want to have to go through these emails over and over again saying, sorry, we don't know, because it's locked up with the state and we're pushing as hard as we can. And we're trying to get in touch with any resources we can that can help push it through, but we can only do so much, and we're pushing. I mean, Kelly calls regularly.
Yeah. And I appreciate that. I don't want to sound like I'm ungrateful. It's just, if I hear it, then you guys hear it, and then the mayor hears it.
We don't want to hear it, so you don't want to hear it. We're all on the same page.
Yeah.
We want to move on and get on with other projects and not have to deal with this, because it's paperwork, which is annoying because it seems like it should be simple.
Mhm. Okay.
I have a quick question about Benell High School. Is that paving project and whatever else they're doing there, is that on schedule?
Well, John can talk about his project over at Benell. If you're talking about the entire parking lot getting paved, that's not going to happen this summer because we couldn't line up John's piece and the paving piece. We couldn't line it up with the different vendors. The asphalt people, if you don't let them know way ahead of time for a job that big, they're taking other work. And now, they can't schedule that. But John can talk to the timing of his piece.
Yeah, the work up at Benell is essentially done. It just needs the final paving of where they excavated. So that he has a paving box up there. I'm not sure of the date, but I told him, it has to be done before August 25th when the freshmen are coming back. So I expect that to happen. I'm waiting for confirmation on what his schedule is.
Okay, thank you. Any other
Three.
questions for Renee?
Sorry. Ken, I just had 2 more questions.
Yeah.
Thanks. Renee, in Paradise Green, where the shops are, there's a bunch of lamp posts that are out, so it's dark. Is that town on the sidewalk side, not in like the center median? Is that the town responsibility, or is it the person who owns the property to fix the lights?
It's us.
Oh,
I'll have
okay.
the electrician go through at night. We have to schedule them to come back on overtime and check the lights and then do the repairs. I'll
Okay.
have them look at it.
Thank you. And just a general comment, thank you for the entire team that had gone out to do, it was a major haul. It was like 3 days you guys were out in Longbrook doing the remediation. I just want to publicly say thank you. I know that you guys are working really hard, and it's hard, but it's one of the highest foot trafficked parks in town, and it's just busy all the time. So there's always something to do. My last question is with the lower pond repair. The last time you and I had spoken, the work wasn't able to get started. Is that finally able to start? Because we had a little gap of rain.
The contractor, his prior job ran over, but he is scheduling to get in there this week, and he's going to be lowering the water, which I'm going to tell you ahead of time, could create some additional smell or some new smell if it fades away, and he's now lowering it and he's creating some movement. Be prepared. There's probably going to be some smell from lowering it because he can't do the wall repairs without lowering the water. So that's going to
Okay.
hopefully start this week.
Okay, so that methane smell that's coming from Brewster and Longbrook Pond, I don't know if it's Motil also. I haven't heard anything. I don't know, Jean, if you have up at Motil, but that like very dense methane smell, is that coming from something coming out of the actual waterways? Or is it a chemical response from water runoff and fertilizer that's going into the waterways? How do we mitigate that? Because at some point, like, it makes your eyes burn and your nose burn.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'd have to go back to an expert to go and figure out where the smell has come from. What is the smell, and is there anything we can do to alleviate the smell? I'd have to investigate that. That's definitely out of my expertise. I'm not a chemical or an environmental expert to know what's causing the smell to come off. It could be just stagnant water, that hasn't moved and is sitting in the sun and bacteria is growing or whatever on the top of the water. But I can ask Kelly to see if she's got any ideas. I'm not sure there's anything we really can do about it, but I will check with Kelly.
Well, what was it a few months ago when there was like a very distinct methane, it smelled like a gas leak. And I think the fire department or somebody else from Public Works had come out, and there was something, I don't know exactly what it was. I'd have to go back through my emails to find it. But it was addressed. I don't know if Kelly and Chad had come out.
I'd have to go back. I don't recall. I'd have to go back and look and see what they determined, but don't remember. I mean, if it was something that was significant, I think it would be stuck in my mind. I mean, maybe it's just sitting water in a catch basin or something, and we may have vacuumed it. I'm not sure. I'd have to go back and look.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you, Renee. Next up is the report of the town engineer, which John has emailed out to us ahead of time. As always, does anybody have any questions for John? Or John, sorry, John, do your action items first. My apologies.
The first action item is Bruce Brook, and this is an item that was included in the engineer's proposal, but he included it as an alternate, and it wasn't in the dollar amount that you approved. So we want to exercise that alternate, which is to do soil testing in advance of our excavation when we start the Bruce Brook project. And that's a $7,000 fee to go in and do the soil samples and have it tested and categorized. So when we excavate it, we can dispose of it in the proper way. And that was $7,000. It wasn't his proposal, but it wasn't in part of the number that the council approved. So.
All right, so this has to go, because it's over 5,000, it has to go back to town council?
Yes.
Okay.
I'll
I
make
was-
that motion.
And I'll second it.
I'll make the motion to approve the amount not to exceed $7,000 for Weston and Sampson to complete the soil test. And this is being referred to the town council with a favorable recommendation.
And I'll second that.
Okay, any discussion or questions for John? Hi, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Chair votes aye, motion carries unanimously. Next, John.
And the next is a change order for Star Construction. And what happened here is that the, bid this went out to bid in February, and the bids are due early March. And then we didn't award the project till July. And when the contractor was awarded the project, they started to, contact their suppliers and subcontractors to get started, and their supplier that quoted the granite for them said they had no granite left. And so the contractor had to go solicit other quotations from granite suppliers in the area, and they were able to find one, but they could only find one, and that was in Rhode Island, to supply the granite, which is going to be used for the curbing on the project. This is the Main Street, Complete Street project. And then, so, the contractor proposes a change in material cost. There's no markup on it. But there is also going to be a change in quantity for the paint markings on the project, which is going to be a substantial reduction of the price of the contract. So ultimately, we'll be operating in a lower cost contract, even though this is a large change order for the granite. So the contractor is willing to adjust the quantities for the paint markings. And basically what the paint markings is, the bike lane on the project was to be a solid green 5-foot wide path. And we're realizing that's not really a practical alternative. So we're gonna still have the bike lane. It'll still be marked with a white line with all the markings of the bike lane symbols will be within the bike lane. It'll still be green at critical parts where we're crossing an intersection or underneath the railroad tracks, but it won't be solid green the entire width. And there's a benefit now for the cost of the project on that. There's also a benefit in the future because the town has to maintain that green paint striping. And we're also doing phase 2 of the Main Street project that we're also proposing not to have a solid green pathway. So I did talk to the Greenway Committee about it. There was no objection. talked to the state, there's no objection. So we're moving forward with that credit. We don't have the credit yet, but that's coming. So that'll offset the cost of this granite. And then there's another item that was not in the contract, and that was the state is requiring a $1.5 million bond on the project as part of their permitting. Even though the town has a $2.4 million bond on the project covering the entirety of the scope of the work, the state is requiring a $1.5 million bond, which is not really typical since we're bonding it. It's not typical for the state to bond it, but they're insistent that their permit carry this item, and this item was not in the bid. So there's a cost to purchase the bond for the permit, and that between those two, we have the granite curb at $42,889 as an increase in material cost, and increase for the bond purchase is $15,900. So we're recommending we move forward with these increases, knowing that we're going to be coming up with a substantial decrease in the value of the contract in the near future. We can report on that next month.
Okay, would someone like to make that motion and refer it to the town council with a favorable recommendation?
I'm happy to do that. Do you want to do that, Jean Marie? Sorry.
No,
I motion to approve the Star Construction extra cost of $42,889,000 for the granite for the curbing. And you want me to do the 15.9 as well as part of the same for the bond, for the purchase of the
Right.
bond?
Right, the 42,000 and the 15,000, yes.
And the $15,900 for the purchase of the bond, to secure the bond. And I motion that this is sent to the town council with a favorable recommendation.
I'll second.
Okay, is there any discussion or questions for John?
No, I think that the not painting the solid green stripe makes perfect sense to me. It's a great savings on this entire project. As someone who rides their bike all the time, it's really not necessary, and it would be an expense to the town to maintain. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, I agree.
Agreed.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The chair votes aye, motion carries unanimously. Number 3, John.
So the next two items relate to the construction phase engineering. And this project, is again, a little bit atypical about how we usually do things. MetroCog was the administrator of the design of the work, of the design project. They had the contract with the engineer and administered the design under the grant that they were providing for the work. And they brought it to the bidding phase. But there was nothing in the scope of the engineer's contract for the construction phase. So now that we're in the construction phase and the town is handling the construction, so we're having the contract with the contractor, and we have to provide the construction administration and the construction inspection. So we've asked the designer to be the construction administrator, and they've given us a fee of $17,500 to do all the what they call design services during construction, which is to review the change orders, review the shop drawings, answer any questions that come up as far as the design's concerned and being constructed. So it's typical, we usually have, we always have that in our engineering contracts, but in this case, we didn't, the town didn't handle it, so MetroCog had not put it in their contract. So this will be a new contract to BSC. They're the designer. They're very familiar with the contract and with the design and the DOT involvement to date. So we're recommending that we hire BSC to continue on with the construction administration phase.
Right, John, do you want to do these two together, or should we do them separately?
Well, you have to do it separately because item D, we asked BSC to provide a fee for construction inspection, and they don't have anyone on staff to be able to do that right now. So we went then, and
All right,
we
so
went.
John, hold on one second. Let's vote on this one then, and then we'll go on to that one, all right?
Yep.
All right, someone like to make that motion on the BSC?
Laura, you want to do it or do you want me to do it? I'll make a motion that we send Main Street, motion to approve Main Street streetscape improvements through BSC Construction, an additional administration fee of up to $17,500 be sent to council with a favorable recommendation.
I'll second.
Okay, any discussion or questions for John?
Mr.
So
Casey, I
where
have a
exactly-
question.
Go ahead, Caitlin.
Caitlin, go ahead.
Thank you, Laura. Thank you, Ken. So with all of these additional improvements that are now needing to happen, is this delaying the work of or actual progress of the project?
Not necessarily. The contractor does have to, tomorrow we'll let them know these change orders are approved, so they can go and get their permit from DOT. That is holding up the project as far as they can't start until we get the DOT permit, and they needed the bond to be able to do that. The granite curb, I think they've ordered it, so it's going to be on its way. So I don't think that's a holdup. So I think we're moving forward as of tonight.
Very good. Thank you.
So how many miles of Main Street is this covering? This is kind of right under the bridge there?
It's from Broad Street to Barnum Ave, so it's not a great length. I don't know what
Okay.
the footage is.
Why do we need granite curbing?
Well, that's a design standard that we've had on Main Street for years.
So it's consistent?
Yeah, we're trying to keep that. We did it on West Broad Street too, as part of that project. We did on Barnum Avenue. These main thoroughfares, we're trying to elevate the look of them, but it's very durable curbing. It lasts forever, as opposed to the granite and the concrete. So again, this is state funds, so and it's a state road, so
Yeah.
let's make it. It's our main thoroughfare. Let's make it what it can be.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The chair votes aye, motion carries unanimously. And the last one, John.
So the BSC could not field a construction inspector for the job. So we went and solicited from 4 firms that MetroCog had shortlisted for pre-qualified construction inspection firms, and solicited a proposal from 4, and none of them were able to do the job. So we've just sent out another solicitation for another group of 4 firms to hopefully get an inspector on the job for this job, because it is a state road. We have to follow the state procedures, the state testing procedures. We need someone with some expertise in that, and it's not something we have in-house. So we're hoping we get an inspector from this solicitation. Not sure what's going to happen if we don't. We'll cross that bridge, but we're not holding up the contractor to get. We want them to get started anyway. So there's no action on that item. So do it next time. Hopefully.
Okay.
Can I have a question for Mr. Casey? That's okay.
Yes.
On his general report. Item 9, the south end rainfall runoff drainage, Mr. Casey. I don't remember if it was last month or the month before, but the town staff meeting to review the modeling. I think I remember at some point there was supposed to be an opportunity maybe for us or council to be updated also on what the status is.
Yeah, we're moving toward that shortly. So we had a initial briefing of where the consultant was and what they were kind of seeing happening in the existing conditions model, and then we as a staff said, we want you to look at this, we want you to look at that. They're going to get back to us later this month, and then we'll bring it, bring the report out we're going to bring it to you, and then we'll have a public informational meeting on the engineer's findings.
So maybe in September?
September, October timeframe.
Okay. Thank you.
John, I have a quick question. The Stratford Ave, Honey Spot, 2 roads, roundabout, what is the timeline on that at this point?
We are still in the process of getting the owners to reach an agreement for the property right-of-way that we need to be able to build it. Simultaneously, the utility companies have completed their test pits to locate their underground utilities, and those plans for relocations and whatnot are being prepared. They'll go in with our plan set. We can then make our 100% submission to DOT for approval. So both of those paths are coming together. We just had a good meeting with one of the owners, so that's looking good. And I think the town attorney's feeling, pretty good about getting an agreement with the rest of them. The one we're actually trying to reach out to right now is the UI company. Early on, they didn't have an issue with it, but they never signed any agreement. So we're trying to get them to do that now, and as well as the rest of the owners. So I'm hoping that we'll have that concluded, by this fall, and then we can start talking about bidding the project.
So next calendar year, hopefully.
Yeah, depending on when we go out to bid and the weather, they might, if we get a contractor on board during the winter or early winter, and this is a project that's going to have a lot of different phases to it, and utility relocation is going to be one of the first phases. So there'll be a lot going on probably as soon as we have a contractor on board before actual work starts. But you might see a little bit of work happening here, a little bit of work happening here, just to prepare for the phasing, so we can keep the traffic going as we build this big traffic circle in the middle of the intersection.
Mhm.
So we have spring probably is when you'll see the bulk of it starting.
Okay. I have a question.
Yes, Laura.
Are these, thank you, are the plans available for us to view at all online, or?
They're not online. I think maybe we could do that as soon as the
Like next month's meeting?
has their final plan set to give to DOT. We could ask the mayor to put it on the website.
Okay. Or maybe at the next Public Works meeting, share it with this committee if anybody else is.
Share a couple of, well, I might be able to share it on the computer screen, or I could email it out, but I couldn't email you the entire plan set. It's too big. So I could email you just the plan sheet so you could see it, but it's very complicated drawing, lots of lines, hard to read. But
I remember seeing it when I first became a counselor, so this has been my entire elected term project. And I'm excited.
Get used to it.
I'm
It gets
excited
worse
to
at-
see
It gets worse at the
some
state
movement on
level.
it Since 2017, so thank you for all your work on it. I can't wait to see it done.
You're welcome.
Laura, I'm still asking questions from 2011 when I started.
Crazy.
And it's because you guys at the state keep changing the goalposts, like Renee said.
I'm sorry.
All right, our next regular meeting is Tuesday, September 5th, because of Labor Day, obviously. So Tuesday, September 5th at 5 p.m. I'll take a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Okay, thank you. As always, everybody, we are adjourned at 5:31 p.m.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, everybody.